Karate Kid Legends finally came out, and I went to go check it out. To be honest with you, I didn't really have any high expectations. Like, the trailers didn't really grab me with this one. I don't really think after 2 there's been a great Karate Kid movie. I also just think the way that Sony's handled this whole Karate Kid universe that they've been building out recently has not been great. I think, how do I get excited for a Karate Kid movie when I was following Cobra Kai and the show hadn't ended? And I'm sure it was more on Netflix's end of like, hey, we're going to keep this show around as long as possible. But like, splitting that season into 3 parts was not great. And not really trying to connect it to Cobra Kai was not really a great decision. I am going to talk spoilers in this review, but I will save that towards the end. Most of the review will be non-spoiler. I just think that this movie overall was very, very flawed. This movie... It's a movie that I saw with not like a super packed audience. Like, there was a decent amount of people. And I got the general sense that people enjoyed the movie. And even as someone who's telling you it's not that great of a movie, I enjoyed it too. And so I don't want to play it off like this movie is horrible and unwatchable. But it definitely is one of the lesser movies of the year. Out of all the big franchises that have come out this year. Like, this movie was very, very flawed. And there's not really any particular reason for it. This movie... where do I start? So this movie was... You were lied to. And I'm going to spoil this. But if you really don't want to hear it, click off. But I think it's best if you know this going in. Sony lied to you. Ralph Macchio is in it for 20 minutes. And his whole reason for coming into the movie... We'll talk about that in spoilers, but let's just say it wasn't very good, didn't make a lot of sense. He's in it for 20 minutes. Jackie Chan, he's in it for 30. Like, they both were in the movie. It's not a lie that they're in the movie, but to the degree that they marketed these two being together, doing their shit, is a lie. It's huge lie. The Karate Kid isms of this movie, of like the tournament, didn't really feel that impactful. There are certain lines you see in the trailer, like, Mr. You are Lee is to me what you meant to Mr. Miyagi. Doesn't really hold any weight when you actually see the context of the movie. The emotions that these movies try to carry of like father-son relationships, things like that, cycles of violence repeating himself. I don't know. I think the biggest problem with this movie overall is you were lied to about how much they're in the movie. I got to a point where I was... this is an hour and a half movie. I got to a point where I was about 50 minutes into the movie, and I was going, when's Jackie Chan showing up? When is Ralph Macchio showing up? And then I realized they ain't showing up till like the last 30 minutes. They ain't gonna do that shit. And that is exactly what happened. They were lied to so heavily. But also, if the other stuff had been really good, and I don't know if I would care so much, and it really wasn't. Like, it's very much a lot of the first movie isms of like, hey, new city, kids figuring out, starts hanging out with the girl, a lot of that stuff. Which is fine, but then it starts doing this weird subplot about boxing that never feels like it gets resolved, really, until like the very end of the movie. It kind of disappears for a large part. It comes in at a point in the movie, and you're like, okay, this is the movie, and then, yeah. So, would I recommend seeing this? If you're a big Karate Kid fan, go watch it. You'll have a good time. I mean, it's not more ridiculous or silly than half the shit in Cobra Kai towards the end. So I think you will get enjoyment. But if you're like skeptical like me already and on the fence, it's a stream it at home at best. It just did not come together. This may be on my worst of the year list just because there is no real reason for this movie to be bad, but objectively speaking, it's not that bad of a movie. I don't know. Spoilers now. So Jackie Chan in this movie is nothing like he is in the Karate Kid remake, which some people have complained about, but I actually find it okay just because him in that remake was imitating Mr. Miyagi and not really being his own character. And so here he's trying to be more what Jackie Chan actually can do and deliver. So I thought it worked fine enough. He is a little bit more jokey and goofy, and if you just recently rewatched that movie because you're excited to see him in this movie, it'll throw you off a little bit, but I honestly think it works a lot better. I think it's actually a step in the right direction. I really didn't like Ralph Macchio in this movie. There's not really a reason for him to be in this movie. Essentially, Jackie Chan wants to train with Miyagi-Do for this tournament and help him learn Kung Fu and Karate, kind of a mix of it, because he was friends with Miss Miyagi, which they never explain how that happened or how that even makes sense. Like, there's a lot of jumping in continents in this movie, okay? Because he's from China. He's from Beijing, China, right? The reason he comes to the States really is kind of like, I get he's having a problem, but it just felt like I never really felt these characters' relationship as strong as they made it out to be. And they, it just felt lost in execution. I felt like maybe this movie would have worked better if they not done Jaden Smith. Jaden Smith's too old and he wasn't that good. Pick a younger actor to be a teenage version of Jaden Smith and then moving back to New York and kind of mix the plot of it, make it work. That seems like a more plausible way to make these characters' connection feel stronger to each other. So I believe a lot of the dynamics. But either way, he goes to Mr. Daniel to get his help. Daniel's like, I'm not leaving. And it doesn't even make sense. He doesn't even really say why. He just says, I don't want to drop my whole life. I'm like, bro, you're just going for a couple days. You're not dropping your whole life. And he doesn't even really explain why he can't leave. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. The only part I enjoyed about Daniel being in this movie was that when you see that cameo after the credits of Johnny talking about making Miyagi-Do pizza, and he's like, that's disrespectful. And he's like, what, Miyagi didn't like pizza? And that's pretty funny, but like, and it's a cute little cameo, but at the same time, I'm just like, this is just bullshit. And then you have like the whole thing with the boxing, that whole subplot, like by the end of it he gets really badly injured and he freezes just like he did with his brother, and he explains that whole backstory, and that's heartbreaking and stuff. But I just don't get it because that whole thing just disappears for a long portion of the movie, and then they throw him into this tournament thing, and it's like, where did this tournament thing come out of this? It's just a weird thing of I thought the whole point it felt so unfocused, and this movie rushed through so many bits of the movie that there was this happening and this happening, and I was just done with it by the end of it. I really wanted to like this movie, but I just didn't by the end of it because it was just so flawed in just so many ways of things it was doing, why it was doing that, and I just didn't care overall. So yeah, that's kind of the movie. It just didn't work, which is very unfortunate. I think there was just no way to do Jackie Chan in this universe and make it make sense. So since in that original movie, he's doing karate, even though he teaches kung fu. Like, it doesn't even feel like it connects to that. So you could really just consider that remake like a whole like non-canon piece, but yet he's in this movie. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And so I just think this whole sequel remake thing was a whole mismanaged thing. And honestly, I didn't like it. I did actually like Sadie Stanley. She's not really been in much. She was in the Kim Possible live action movie as Kim. She was fun seeing in this movie. I thought her role was fun. I wish they kind of worked to build out their chemistry a little bit better and explain her relationship with the other dude a little bit better, but it's fine. I thought she did a good job. Everybody else, I was just done with it. Let me know your thoughts, like, share, and subscribe.